Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, my dear first prof students. Hope that you will be feeling well and doing the preparation regarding the examination. And now you know that few days left for your examination. It may be in the mid of the October. As you know that I have completed my syllabi of biochemistry, but only one gland is left, that is known as parathyroid gland. Now parathyroid gland I am assigned to Mr. Salman, but nowadays he is not feeling well, so that's why I am giving the lecture on this gland, that is parathyroid gland. Now parathyroid gland, it comes under the heading of the endocrine glands because again its secretion, that is it secretes one hormone that is known as parathyroid hormone or parathormone. So that secretion is directly entered into the blood circulation, and that's why it is known as the ductless gland. That is the secretion of the ductless gland or the endocrine gland. Now this parathyroid hormone, as far as the location of this parathyroid hormone is concerned, it is located behind the thyroid gland. So parathyroid gland, that is having the 4 follicles which secretes the hormone parathormone, and it is very small or tiny in the size. And as far as its chemistry is concerned, chemically parathyroid hormone is also a proteinaceous hormone. Again, I have discussed various times that proteinaceous hormone are those which are composed of amino acids, other are steroidal hormone, and the third class is that hormone which is derived from the amino acid, for example adrenaline and noradrenaline. So these are the hormones which are, according to classification, either the proteinaceous or the steroidal or the amino acid derivative. So parathyroid hormone is the only one hormone which is secreted from the parathyroid gland. So we can say that parathyroid gland secretes only one hormone, that is known as parathyroid hormone. This parathyroid hormone composed of amino acids, and there is 84 amino acids are present in this parathyroid hormone, and it is also having the amino acid and the carboxylic acid group. So that's why those amino acids which are present on the N-terminal, they are known as N-terminal amino acid. Those which are present on the carboxylic acid group, they are known as carboxylic acid terminal hormones, terminal amino acid. Now coming to the point, that is parathyroid gland. Now parathyroid glands, as I have told you, that it secretes the hormone which right now, what is the use of this parathyroid hormone? That what is the importance of this parathyroid hormone in our body? Parathyroid hormone regulates the concentration of calcium and phosphorus ions in the blood plasma. The hormone secreted from parathyroid gland is known as parathormone. I just told you that either you can say the parathyroid hormone or you can say the parathormone. You can say the parathormone or PTH, secreted by the chief cells of that follicles. Now, what is the role of this parathyroid hormone? It causes either to increase the concentration of the calcium ions or to decrease the concentration of phosphate ions. It usually shows its action on the bones. Now, if you remember the action of the vitamin D, you can easily understand the action of the parathyroid hormone, because vitamin D help in the function of the parathyroid hormone or vice versa, right? Now the parathormone or the parathyroid hormone, chemically, now first of all we have to discuss the chemistry of parathyroid hormone. Chemically, the parathyroid hormone is proteinaceous in nature. That is, again I am telling you that proteinaceous hormones are those which are composed of amino acid. So this hormone having 84 amino acid, the N-terminal amino acid is known as alanine and the C-terminal amino acid is known as glutamine, right? N-terminal alanine and C-terminal glutamine. Now amino acid 1 to 34 is essential for physiological activity on skeletal and renal tissue. Now again you know that if a proteinaceous hormone having various amino acid, some of them amino acid, they are having the physiological activity in them or the biochemical activity in them. So similarly in case of parathyroid hormone, the amino acid 1 to 34 is essential for the physiological activity on skeletal and renal tissue. Methionine is essential for calcium mobilization. The calcium ions mobilization takes place by the action of the methionine, which is present in the parathyroid hormone, whereas N-terminal, this is the action of the C-terminal amino acid, whereas the action of N-terminal amino acid up to 34 possesses the receptor binding ability. Now you know that all the drugs, the enzymes, the hormones, they requires their receptors, they requires the activity they shows their activity by combining with their specific receptors. So similarly, parathyroid hormone having the receptor to combine with specific receptor, and that receptor ability is present in N-terminal amino acid, whereas C-terminal amino acid is responsible for the mobilization of calcium ions, right? So biosynthesis of parathormone, how the biosynthesis takes place, that is, the first of all, there is pre-pro parathyroid hormone. Pre-pro, again you know that we have discussed so many times about the pre-pro and zymogen form of the different enzymes, the hormones. Pre-pro means that before the activity of the hormone takes place, there is formation of such a molecule which is having certain extra amino acids which cannot take part in the mobilization of calcium or the phosphorus ions. So that's why it is known as pre-pro parathyroid hormone. Now again, why it is known as pre-pro? Because it is having extra amino acid in its structure, and these extra amino acids are nothing but 115 amino acid, because I've told you previously in the beginning that parathyroid hormone actually having 84 amino acids in its structure. So pre-pro parathyroid hormone having 150 amino acid. Now 115 amino acid acted by the enzyme that is known as signal peptidase. This enzyme is responsible to remove 25 amino acid from 115, and then there is formation of inactive peptide, that is 25 amino acid. So 25 amino acid shows the inactive peptide. Then this signal peptide, by losing 25 amino acid, there is formation of pro-parathyroid hormone. Pre-pro, from pre-pro there is formation of pro-parathyroid hormone having 90 amino acid, that is 25 amino acid has been removed and there is only 90 amino acid. These 90 amino acids, again they are divided into two components, that is 6 amino acids again removed from pro-parathyroid hormone. 6 amino acids are then removed from here, and there is formation of the inactive hexapeptide, inactive hexapeptide, that is 6 amino acid, and then there is parathyroid hormone having 84 amino acid. This is actually that amount of the amino acid, number of amino acid, that is 84, which gives the activity to the hormone that is known as parathyroid hormone. Now location, as I have told you previously in the beginning, that parathyroid gland is present in the form of 4 tiny glands located in the neck behind the thyroid gland. Right? Now coming to the next, that is mechanism of action. Mechanism of action of parathyroid hormone. How this mechanism of action takes place, that is how the parathyroid hormone shows its effect. Now parathyroid hormone increases the serum calcium level. Now again you know that what is the function of parathyroid hormone? To regulate the calcium ion concentration and the phosphorus ion concentration in the bloodstream. So that's why parathyroid hormone increases the serum calcium level by acting on the bones, kidney and intestine. So what are the sites of its action? That is bones, kidney and intestine. Now first of all, how this parathyroid hormone shows its effect. There are two main components which plays an important role in the mechanism of action of parathyroid hormone. First of all, that is the increasing cyclic AMP. Now cyclic AMP, now I think that there is no need to explain the mechanism of this cyclic AMP. It is actually the second messenger, and you have studied various time in under the various topics about the importance of cyclic AMP. So parathyroid hormone also shows its effect through the cyclic AMP. Parathyroid hormone binds to the specific receptors on the plasma membrane of the bone cells, renal tubular cells, then activates the adenylate cyclase. Now what is the role of this? That is the parathyroid hormone. First of all, they binds with a specific receptor on the plasma membrane of the bone cells, then renal tubular cells, activates the adenylate cyclase to form cyclic AMP. Now you know that cyclic AMP is formed from the adenosine triphosphate. Adenosine triphosphate, when activated by or acted by the enzyme adenylate cyclase, there is formation of cyclic AMP in the cell. Now this cyclic AMP, you know that it is a second messenger. So it activates the specific cyclic AMP dependent protein kinase. Cyclic AMP dependent protein kinase is that protein kinase, that enzyme which is responsible for the phosphorylation and modulation of the activities of the specific proteins in the bone cells and the kidney cells, right? So this is the action of cyclic AMP, that is the second messenger, which is formed on the ATP by means of adenylate cyclase. Now second is the role of calcium ions. How the calcium ions participate in the mechanism of action of this parathyroid hormone. Now cyclic AMP also increases the calcium concentration in these cells. What is the role of this? Cyclic AMP, first it activates the cyclic AMP dependent protein kinase. Secondly, it also increases the calcium concentration in the cells, right? Now which in turn act as a messenger to modulate the activities of intracellular protein, and that intracellular protein then shows the activity of the cell hormones, that is parathyroid hormone. So that was the mechanism of action of parathyroid hormone. So we can say that parathyroid hormone shows its effects either by the cyclic AMP and not either means that by cyclic AMP and by the calcium ions. These two components are responsible for the mechanism of action of the parathyroid hormone, right? Now coming to the metabolic role of parathyroid hormone. Now metabolic role of parathyroid hormone. Parathyroid hormone act on the different organs. Number one, action on the kidney. Action on the kidney means that, again you know that parathyroid hormone shows its effects specifically on the bone cells and the kidney cells and also in the intestine. Now action on the kidney, parathyroid hormone shows its effects through cyclic AMP, which we have discussed just now. Now parathyroid hormone binds to the specific receptor on plasma membrane of the renal cortical cells of the proximal and distal tubules, because the role of parathyroid hormone for the absorption of calcium ion mostly takes place in the proximal tubule, convoluted tubules and the loop of Fenway. Now it stimulates the adenylate cyclase to produce cyclic AMP. It activates the cyclic AMP dependent protein kinase, which phosphorylates specific protein of the apical membrane cells. What is apical membrane? It is the surface of the membrane that faces inwards the lumen. What is the apical membrane? Apical membrane, it is the surface of the membrane that faces inwards to the lumen and causes the transport across the membrane, So there is decrease in the transport and reabsorption of inorganic phosphate. So there is decrease in the transport and reabsorption of inorganic phosphate across the membrane, because you know that in the beginning I told you that this parathyroid hormone is responsible for the maintenance of the calcium and phosphorus ion concentration in the blood circulation or the blood plasma by absorption and by inhibition of the absorption. So in this case, they decreases the transport and deabsorption of inorganic phosphate, that is across the membrane, increase of the inorganic phosphate in the urine, fall in the serum phosphate ions, that is fall in the serum phosphate, inorganic phosphate. When there is increase in the urinary excretion, there is decrease in the serum concentration, leads to the mobilization of phosphate from the bones. With calcium causes hypercalcemia. When there is decrease in the phosphate ions, there is increase in the calcium ions, and it may cause the hypercalcemia. It may cause the hypercalcemia, right? Parathyroid hormone. Now, what is the role of the enzymes? There are two most important enzymes. First is known as alpha-1 hydroxylase, and second is known as 25-hydroxycholecalciferol. Cholecalciferol. Now, parathyroid hormone stimulate alpha-1 hydroxylase enzyme located in the mitochondria of the proximal converted tubular cells, which converts 25-hydroxycholecalciferol into 125-dihydrocholecalciferol, which in turn increases the intestinal renal absorption of calcium, resulting hypercalcemia, right? Now, parathyroid hormone inhibits the transmembrane transport of potassium and bicarbonate to decrease their reabsorption by the renal tubules. Now, parathyroid hormone increases the transmembrane transport and reabsorption of filtered calcium ions in the distal tubules. Initially decreases the urinary excretion of calcium ions. Later on, hypercalcemia there is enhancement of the calcium ions concentration, may causes the hypercalcemia. So parathyroid hormone induced hypercalcemia, there is increase in renal excretion of calcium ion. So action on the bones, that is parathyroid hormone binds to the specific receptors present on the membrane of osteoclast. What are the osteoclasts? Osteoclast, the cells responsible for the bone reabsorption. Multinucleated large cells, they are responsible for bone reabsorption. Osteoblasts and osteocytes, and increases the cyclic AMP. Again, cyclic AMP, that is the second messenger, which is responsible for the activation of the mechanism of action of parathyroid hormone, and act by cyclic AMP protein dependent kinase. Through that, there is osteoblastic activity, osteoblastic activity, and osteoblastic and osteolysis. Osteoblastic activity, these are three terms. Now, what is the osteoblastic activity? Osteoblastic activity is that activity in which there is breakdown of the bones takes place to build up the new bone again, Then osteoblastic activity means that again the breaking of the bones and the resynthesis of the bones. So osteoblastic cell form the new bones. Osteoblastic means the formation of the cells of the new bones. So new bones are formed from the osteoblastic activity. Now, action on the alkaline phosphatase. What is alkaline phosphatase? It is an enzyme. So parathyroid hormone increase in the causes, when there is increase in the parathyroid hormone secretion, causes increase in the alkaline phosphatase activity. It increases the activity of bone osteoblast. Now, bone osteoblast means that there is formation of the new cells of the bone. If there is higher activity of alkaline phosphatase, causes decrease in the collagen synthesis, decreased calcium retaining capacity of the bone, right? Now, calcitrol. What is calcitrol? It's active form of vitamin D. Calcitrol is the active form of vitamin D. It's a hormone, namely 125-dihydroxycholecalciferol, which we have discussed just now. 125 dihydroxy cholecalciferol, 125 DHCC. 125 dihydroxy cholecalciferol. It induces the synthesis of specific calcium binding protein in the intestinal cells. It increases the calcium uptake by osteoblastic activity.